Welcome. Today, we're focusing on a powerful concept. Fear stops here. This means acknowledging fear, but not letting it control our actions. Instead, we choose courage and move forward despite uncertainty. It's about creating a mindset where fear is a signal, not a barrier. Throughout this presentation, we'll explore how to identify fear, understand its impact, and develop strategies to overcome it. Together, we'll take the first step to stopping fear in its tracks. Fear can be a powerful force that holds us back in many areas of our lives. Today, we're focusing on how to stop fear right here and now. We're going to explore a twofold approach: psychological strategies that help heal the mind and spiritual practices that nourish the soul. By addressing fear from both angles, we can gain a deeper understanding and develop tools to overcome it, leading to greater peace and freedom in our lives. This approach is about more than just managing fear. It's about transforming it so we can move forward with confidence and calm. When we talk about fear, it's important to understand that it operates on two key dimensions: the psychological and the spiritual. Psychologically, fear exists in our minds through our thoughts, past traumas, and the worries we project into the future. It's deeply cognitive, shaped by what we've experienced and how we anticipate what's to come. On the other hand, fear also has a spiritual side. It lives in what we feel when we lose connection, meaning, or trust in something greater than ourselves, whether that's a universe or a higher power. The crucial point here is that addressing fear requires tackling both dimensions. You can't simply think your way out of a spiritual crisis because it goes beyond logic. Similarly, you can't rely on prayer or spiritual reassurance alone to overcome psychological issues without taking meaningful action. It's the combination of understanding your mind and nurturing your spirit that leads to true healing. When it comes to managing fear, the first psychological principle is to stop fighting it. Avoidance doesn't mean you have to erase the fear completely. In fact, trying to push a fearful thought away forcefully often backfires. That's known as a white bear effect, where the more you try not to think about something, the more it dominates your mind. Instead of aiming to eliminate fear, the key is to change how you relate to it. One practical step is to label the emotion when it arises. For example, say to yourself, "I notice I am having a thought that I am in danger." This simple act helps you create some distance between you and the fear, making it less overwhelming and easier to manage. It's about acknowledging the emotion without letting it control you. Now, let's talk about cognitive restructuring, which is a key psychological principle often used in cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT. The main idea here is to change the narrative in your mind by identifying and challenging distorted thoughts. One common distortion that fuels fear is called catastrophizing, where you automatically assume the worst case scenario will definitely happen. To break this pattern, we start with a reality check. Ask yourself, what is the actual evidence for this fear? Then consider what the best possible outcome could be, and importantly, what the most likely outcome is, which usually falls somewhere between the best and worst cases. A helpful exercise is to write down the worst case scenario, and then create a detailed plan for how you would cope if it actually happened. This process puts you back in control and removes a lot of the fear's power by showing you that you have a way to handle whatever comes your way. Now, let's talk about the third psychological principle, which is behavioral exposure. One of the biggest challenges when dealing with fear or anxiety is a tendency to avoid what makes us uncomfortable. This avoidance might give us temporary relief, but it sends a message to our brain that the situation is truly dangerous, reinforcing the fear even more. The solution here is called graded exposure. Think of it as breaking your fear down into a series of manageable steps, like a ladder with 10 rungs. You start with the easiest, least frightening step and remain at that level until your anxiety decreases. Then, you gradually move up to the next step, making sure not to skip any rungs along the way. By doing this consistently, your brain starts to habituate, meaning the fear response gradually diminishes because it learns that these situations are actually safe through repeated, controlled exposure. This method helps break the cycle of avoidance and fear in a powerful, lasting way. On this slide, we're focusing on the first spiritual principle, which is about surrender versus control. The key idea here is letting go of the illusion that we must control every outcome in order to be safe. This illusion often stems from spiritual fear, making us believe that safety depends entirely on our control. The important shift is to recognize that we are part of a larger whole, whether you think of that as God, the universe, nature, or collective consciousness. When we accept this bigger picture, it helps us release the need to control everything. A practical way to embody this principle is by practicing serenity prayer, or its secular equivalent. It asks for serenity to accept what we cannot change, courage to change what we can, and wisdom to know the difference. This prayer captures the essence of surrender. Finally, surrender here doesn't mean giving up. Rather, it means giving over the outcomes that are beyond our control, allowing us to focus our energy where it truly matters. This shift brings peace and clarity in facing life's uncertainties. Here we focus on the second spiritual principle, detachment from ego. The key idea here is that fear is essentially the language of the ego. The ego thrives on fear because it uses it to protect its identity, which is tied to temporary things like reputation, status, or the physical body. In contrast, your true self, your spirit or soul, is eternal and cannot be harmed. When you notice fear arising, try asking yourself, who is afraid? If the answer points to your reputation or image, remember that this is just a temporary self, not the essence of who you truly are. Instead, shift your awareness to the part of you that simply observes these fears without reacting. This observer is untouched by fear. To practice this, meditate on the feeling of being pure awareness itself, rather than getting caught up in your thoughts or emotions. This helps you detach from the ego and experience a deeper sense of peace and clarity. Here, we're looking at the third spiritual principle, active faith and trust. The key idea is that fear simply can't coexist with faith. When we're truly rooted in faith, fear naturally falls away. One way to build that trust is through prayer or setting an intention, where you consciously release your fears to a higher power. Another powerful practice is gratitude. When you focus on what you're thankful for, it raises your spiritual energy and pushes fear aside. Try naming 5 things you're grateful for right now, and notice how it instantly shifts your mindset. Lastly, engaging in service by helping others can shrink your own fears because it grounds you in our shared humanity. These practices move us from fear to a place of sacred trust. Here, we explore the meeting point between psychology and spirituality, which I like to call the bridge. This is all about mindfulness and acceptance, the space where these two fields overlap. From the psychological side, mindfulness means observing our thoughts without judgment, just noticing them as they come and go. On the spiritual side, mindfulness is about recognizing the sacredness of the present moment, appreciating a deeper connection to life as it unfolds. When these come together, they create what's called radical acceptance. This means fully accepting reality exactly as it is right now, without resistance or denial. Psychologically, this breaks the cycle of repetitive, unproductive thinking. Spiritually, it helps us align with the flow of life, embracing what is with openness and peace. This blend is powerful because it integrates the mind's awareness with the spirit's acceptance, guiding us toward greater well-being. Let me walk you through a simple yet powerful daily routine designed to help detoxify fear from both your mind and spirit. First, start by pausing and taking 4 deep belly breaths. This helps calm your nervous system and brings you into the present moment. Next, name your fear out loud by saying, I feel fear about X. Acknowledging it is a crucial step. Then, gently question your fear by asking yourself if what you're feeling is actual danger or just discomfort. This helps put things into perspective. After that, imagine handing your fear over to a higher power or grounding it into the earth. This symbolic act can bring a sense of release. Finally, affirm to yourself, I am capable and I am held. This affirmation reinforces your inner strength and support. By dedicating just 5 minutes daily to this practice, you can gradually reduce the hold fear has on you, nurturing both your psychological and spiritual well-being. It's important to recognize when you need help and not try to face everything on your own. Avoiding fear doesn't mean going it alone. If you're experiencing panic attacks, intrusive thoughts that leave you feeling paralyzed, or these issues are interfering with your sleep or eating habits for more than 2 weeks, it's a good idea to seek support from a psychologist. On the other hand, if you're dealing with deep existential dread, a profound loss of meaning, or feel completely disconnected from your purpose, turning to a spiritual director, pastor, or coach can be very beneficial. Remember, psychological therapy is about healing the wounds, while spiritual practice helps to give those healed wounds a sense of meaning and direction in life. Both forms of support can be crucial on the path to recovery and well being. To summarize, from a psychological perspective, the key is to face your fears directly, reframe how you view them, and expose yourself to them gradually. This helps change your thoughts, which in turn changes how you feel. Spiritually, it involves surrendering control, detaching from the ego, and trusting the flow of life. Practices like prayer, gratitude, and serving others help you reconnect with a deeper sense of peace. Ultimately, remember this: fear is just a visitor, not a permanent resident in your life. You have the power, through both your mind and your soul, to show it the door and move forward with confidence. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this powerful quote from the Persian poet Hafiz. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions. It's a reminder that fear can keep us confined in a small, limiting space, but we all deserve to live in a place of confidence, growth, and opportunity. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Any questions or personal experiences you'd like to share? As we wrap up, I want to take a moment for some closing reflections. Think about the key insights we've explored today and how they connect to your own experiences or goals. Reflecting on what we discussed can help solidify your understanding and inspire you to apply these ideas moving forward. Remember, the real value comes from taking what you've learned and using it to make a positive impact. Thank you for your attention and engagement throughout this presentation.